Hi guys, Robbie46 here and welcome to the race results and analysis from yesterday's MotoGP race at Le Mans. It was Jorge Lorenzo who took pole position, followed by Marc Marquez in second and Andrea Iannone was third. That was your front row. Valentino Rossi made a few mistakes in qualifying and got stuck behind traffic. He only managed to qualify in 7th place. But off the line, Lorenzo got a perfect start and pretty much pulled away from the very beginning. He had a few changes off the line. Rossi didn't get too bad start, but he did get beaten up in the first couple of corners and he remained down in 7th for a little while. Yeah, the Ducatis moving forward as well. Pedrosa and Marquez both struggling off the line as well. Marquez dropped down to 5th before trying to recover into the top 3 positions. Suzuki's didn't start off too bad. Elish was ahead of Vinales to begin with, but Vinales quickly got ahead of his teammate. And at the front, it was looking like Lorenzo was going to try and go away from the very off. And the two Ducatis were chasing him, but it was Dovi who was in second and Iannone in third, but Iannone soon got past Dovi. Obviously, everyone watching was thinking, please just make it a clean pass, Iannone. Don't want a repeat of Argentina. Luckily, he got ahead of Dovizioso. He was looking like the only one that was actually going to be able to fight with Jorge Lorenzo. Meanwhile, Rossi was making his way through the pack, getting the better of Bradley Smith, Paul Espargaro, Maverick Vinales, even though he did actually get sandwiched at one point between both Bradley Smith and Vinales, and that was when he is originally pushed back down to 7th place. And it wasn't looking good for Rossi, but he worked his magic, kept plugging away, and kept going forward, picking riders off one by one. An early retirement after about 5 laps for Scott Redding. Unfortunately, more engine issues. His bike basically switched itself off again, similar to what he had happened to him in Argentina, except he just had to go straight into the pit, and that was the end of his race. So not good for Redding. Danilo Petrucci, he was back. He didn't qualify too bad, and he was running inside the top 10 despite still having problems with his wrist. A few laps after Scott Redding retired, you had a couple of crashes. First was Yoni Hernandez, who crashed out. Rider was okay. And then Andrea Iannone, he was catching Lorenzo and catching him quite quickly as well. The gap was about 1.5 to 2 seconds, and Iannone was catching him like half a second a lap. Was pretty much right on the tail of Jorge Lorenzo. But if you have watched my MotoGP gaming videos, you'll know that I call one of the Le Mans corners the slippery corner, which is the double right-hander before you get onto the last sector of the track. Unfortunately for Iannone, he went in there a little too hot and lost the front, and he was down and out of the race. So the only one looking like he was going to be able to challenge Lorenzo, he was down. Dovi was still in second place now that Iannone was out, and Marquez was in 3rd place. Pedrosa, he was in about 6th place. It was looking like he was going to catch Marquez and Dovizioso. Rossi was in 4th, but after a couple of laps, he actually dropped back from Marquez to about 1.5 seconds. And it started to look like Rossi wasn't going to get any further. Cal Crutchlow, unfortunately, he had another crash, not having a good weekend or a good season on that Honda at the moment. It's not going well. And he crashed out. Rider okay. And then not long after he crashed out, Tito Rabat on the other Honda crashed out. So the Honda's not going well at all. Top Honda at that time was Marquez in 3rd. But Valentino Rossi set the fastest lap of the race, which ended up being the fastest lap of the race overall. He started to catch up to Marquez and Dovizioso. Marquez was catching Dovizioso. Rossi was catching Marquez. They were all closing back up. Lorenzo had a massive lead by this point. It was over 5 seconds. He was gone into the distance. No one was going to trouble him. But as Rossi was closing in on Marquez and Dovizioso, he quickly got past Marquez as quick as he could, and it was looking like Marquez was going to try to re-attack Rossi and take back 3rd place, but he wasn't able to. And that Honda trying to get the power down straight, it can't even keep with the Yamaha anymore. We know that Honda's been struggling to put its power down, but straight line speed isn't there like it used to be. So yeah, he wasn't even able to stem the slipstream of Rossi. And then Rossi soon got past Andrea Dovizioso, and then Marquez closed back up on the both of them. Rossi trying to pull away from Dovi, but Dovi managing to stick with him, as was Marquez. Really weird crash happened on lap 16. Both Dovizioso and Marquez suffered the same front end crash at exactly the same time on the same bit of track. Obviously Dovi was just slightly ahead of Marquez. They weren't side by side or anything. Marquez was behind Dovi, but just going into a left-hander, Rossi was just ahead of him, and they both lost the front at exactly the same time. It's really weird to watch. It's just like synchronizing crashing. It just exactly the same time the front went, and they both went down. Unfortunately for Dovizioso, his bike tumbled a bit in the gravel and done a few flips, meaning that he wasn't able to remount. But luckily for Marquez, his Honda just slid on its side, so he was able to get back on it eventually when he managed to get it going again and rejoin the race in last place. That wasn't it for the fortunate crash victims. Jack Miller, he crashed out. The other Estrella Galizia Mark VDS Honda crashing out towards the end of the race. And so did Bradley Smith. He's looking like he was going to get his best result of the season. He was looking really strong, but unfortunately for Bradley, he ended up crashing out of the race. Maverick Vinales, he was trying to hold off Danny Pedrosa. Vinales was in third at this point after Dovizioso and Marquez crashed out. And it was looking like Pedrosa was going to try and close him down, but Vinales managed to hold him off and open up the gap towards the end of the race. The two Espargaro brothers were together on track as well. Pole and Elish both battling each other. Danilo Petrucci towards the end of the race suffering with his hand. He had quite a big gap over Hector Barbera, but with that right hand affecting him, Barbera soon caught up to him and was trying to get past Petrucci, but Petrucci wasn't having it. He gave as good as he got and managed to hold off Hector Barbera. So all in all, we only had 13 finishers. Jorge Lorenzo took a dominant victory over Valentino Rossi, who got second. Maverick Vinales, Suzuki's first podium since they come back. So good to see Suzuki back on the podium, and great to see Vinales have his first ever GP podium in the big class. Danny Pedrosa, he ended up fourth. Like I said, he did try catching Vinales, but it wasn't meant to be. Paul Espargaro finished in fifth, just ahead of his brother in sixth. Danilo Petrucci, he got a well-deserved seventh place. Top Ducati as well, just ahead of Hector Barbera in eighth. Alvaro Bautista, the top Aprilia, and good points for him in ninth place, just ahead of his teammate Stefan Bradl in 10th. Eugene Lavity ended up in 11th. Loris Baz on his home race ended in 12th. And Marquez, after crashing and remounting and being lapped, ended up in 13th, so he still gets points. Now, that has really closed up the championship now, and Lorenzo's even taken the lead by 5 points ahead of Marquez in second, and Rossi is just 12 points behind Lorenzo. So it's really close. All three of the top riders have now made a mistake in a race. Obviously, you had Lorenzo crashing in Argentina, Rossi in Austin, and now Marquez in Le Mans. Only difference is Marquez being the only one being able to remount and get back in the race. So yeah, the championship is really closing up. Next race is at Mugello, and that's definitely going to be an interesting race. Be interesting to see how the Honda gets on, because even though Marquez was running the 6-wing formation, it didn't help in the slightest. And Honda definitely struggling, struggling to turn, struggling to stay stable, struggling to go in a straight line and stay in the slipstream. So, yes, it's not good for Honda at the moment. And hopefully by Mugello we should know what Maverick Vinales and Danny Pedrosa are doing next year. Obviously, awaiting to see what Vinales finally decides. He's not yet decided. Every day he says he changes his mind whether he's going to go to Yamaha or stay at Suzuki. I think that him getting on the podium would have helped his decision. Actually, probably made it a bit harder, but it may make him think maybe Suzuki's getting better. Maybe he'll be able to fight for a win very soon. But then at the same time, the two Yamahas were ahead of him, so he might have been looking at the bikes in Parc Fermé and thinking, yeah, I think I'll be on that bike next year. But I'll have to wait and see what happens. And then obviously once he's decided, we'll find out what Pedrosa's doing. And obviously if he ends up going to Yamaha, then obviously we'll find out who's going to replace him at Repsol Honda. But that's it from me now. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave this video a like, subscribe to my channel for more content. I shall see you guys in the next video. See you!